Bullet hole hoodies is the fashion. We in Harlem's paradise, delicate done. That I'm about to trade the mic for a magnum. Give up my life for Trayvon to have one. Cheer, cause this is bulletproof love. And you already know what a bulletproof does. So you can take it from a bulletproof thug. The hood got his back, dog. Bulletproof love.
Hi, welcome to the DC Marvel Battlecast, where we discuss all things DC and Marvel related, and we debate who would win in versus battle matchups. I'm Johnny DC.
And I'm his twin brother, Marvelous Joe.
The song you heard at the beginning was Bulletproof Love by Adrian Young and S.H.I.E.L.D. Muhammad, featuring Method Man. It's from the Luke Cage original soundtrack.
Wu-Tang! Wu-Tang!
Soundtrack album, available on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you buy or stream music.
Remember, Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
And honestly, like, choosing the soundtrack for that was so awesome. Like, just choosing a song for it was a really hard decision. We felt Bulletproof Love was most appropriate.
Yeah, I really wanted to maybe go with the Chief song by...
Such a cool song.
I forgot, it begins with the J. It was a great song, though. It was one of my favorite. Jahid something. Anyway.
No, totally not that. But it was a cool song. Before we get into it, I want to remind our listeners to subscribe to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, or YouTube.
Yeah, whatever you're currently listening to us
Odds are we'll probably be on there.
Yeah, go ahead and if you like what you're hearing, go ahead and give us a subscribe.
Or a like.
Or a review. That would be nice.
Yeah, reviews would be awesome. If you want to reach out to us, you can follow us on Twitter at DC Marvel Battle, or you can email us at dcmarvelbattlecast@gmail.com.
Yeah. And if you follow us on Twitter, remember, we post a whole crap ton of news that is
so
all
much news
Marvel
all
and
the time.
all Marvel and DC related. So
24/7.
If you're interested in that kind of stuff, go ahead and definitely check us out.
Yeah. So this is our Luke Cage review episode. Mm-hmm. If you couldn't tell from the opening theme song, but before we get into that, the news that we'll be talking about in this episode, just to give a quick breakdown, we're going to be talking about Zack Snyder's Twitter feed again. And
90% of DC news comes from Zack Snyder's Twitter feed.
Lately, yeah, for sure. There was a bunch of Logan news to come out recently, and not all of it came from the New York Comic Con, which is wrapping up like as we speak. Mm-hmm. Did any of that news come from New York Comic Con?
No, it didn't.
Anyway, there was an announcement about the Suicide Extended Cut, which
Suicide Squad Extended Cut?
What did I say?
Suicide Extended Cut?
Suicide Squad Extended Cut. There's some casting news for Black Panther, and then we segue into television news where we'll talk about the DC TV 4-part crossover.
And then the big news of the week, I think the biggest news to come out
which is all the
New York Comic Con was about...
was all the Netflix show stuff.
Yeah, the Marvel Netflix
So we'll be talking about all of that news that came from Comic Con.
Yeah, I'm excited. Honestly, I thought a whole lot more news in general, especially DC news, was going to come out from New York Comic Con, but we didn't get a whole lot of news. But what we did get regarding the Marvel Netflix shows, it was enough to at least whet my appetite.
Yeah, there was. I mean, it's fitting because this is like a television review episode. Mm-hmm. Or a television show review, right. That a lot of
and most
television
of the news
came out.
Yeah,
most of the news that came out was television related. So, yeah, why not? Some good stuff on television.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, especially after seeing Luke Cage. I can't wait to start talking about that show too. So let's get into the news.
Yeah. So first up, Zack Snyder. He most recently tweeted this, like, they wrapped production on Justice League, so there was this behind-the-scenes video of that. We're not going to go really into it because there really wasn't any news, but I encourage you to check it out if you're into like that behind-the-scenes stuff. It's a pretty cool video.
There was a cool shot at the end of Jason Momoa as Aquaman, kind of like twirling his trident.
Yeah,
and he totally drops.
I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff in it. Like there was a scene of like Batman like dropping down from this like wire. It was like really Batman, like from the comic book. I got excited about it.
We see Superman. He's in his red and blue and yellow costume.
Yeah, normal costume. Yeah. Definitely check it out. But the big interesting thing to come from his Twitter feed from the last episode was another behind the scenes shot. He's wearing a Batman gauntlet, and he's drawing on his iPad with the Apple Pencil. It's a storyboard scene, and it looks like when you zoom in really close, it looks like it's and there's some speculation on this, but it looks like Deathstroke is having a conversation with Lex Luthor.
Yeah, it's definitely Deathstroke. I was able to, one of the sites that I saw the news on, they were able to rotate the image and zoom in. It's definitely Deathstroke. The other figure may just be a stick figure. It may be a ball to Lex Luthor. Someone also speculated that it might be Red Hood.
Which...
What do you think about that? If we're talking about... If they're having a conversation, it might be the case that whoever he's talking to, whoever Deathstroke is talking to in this particular scene is the person who's hiring him. Because they're not fighting, basically, is what my assumption is. So from this, we can either gather that Lex Luthor is hiring Deathstroke or Red Hood or somebody else with no hair.
So my speculation is that it's with Lex Luthor. I think that makes the most sense. We already have this character. He is bald. I think it makes most sense for even that, just to like keep tabs on that character. And who else could hire Deathstroke? Who else could afford to hire him, you know? I didn't really hear the Red Hood story.
My theory is that it is Red Hood, Jason Todd, Red Hood, hiring Deathstroke to kill Batman as kind of like a revenge for letting him die. But it also incorporates maybe the Red Hood also wanting to kill the Joker, which is why the story takes place in Arkham Asylum. That's my theory.
No, this is from Justice League. This isn't...
Right, but
Zack Snyder wouldn't be doing...
I'm guessing this will lead into Justice League.
Oh, so you think this is like an after-credits scene or something like that?
That's what I'm thinking. No?
I don't think so. I think, I mean, what's that, law of physics or something like that? No, it's physics, not law of physics. The simplest answer is the most often correct one. Simplest path.
Yeah.
What is that? No, I can't think of it.
You idiot!
I know!
So the simplest answer is often the most correct one, quoted by Joseph. Marvelous Joe, 2016.
But no, that even comes from nature will take the simplest path.
Okay.
And anyway, that's not the same.
So what's the simplest answer here?
It's Lex Luthor.
Okay.
I'm
hiring Deathstroke.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't.
To stop the Justice League from...
I mean, he's obviously working with Steppenwolf or Darkseid or, you know, the planet Apocalypse at the end of Batman v Superman. And since he can't do much from behind a cell and can't do much anyway because he's not a metahuman or whatever, you know, I think it's all he could do from prison is to hire a mercenary.
Question.
Yeah.
Okay, so if Lex Luthor is working with aliens from the planet Apocalypse, trying to figure out what's in it for him other than, you know, the death of Superman.
More power.
Or although Superman already died, so maybe I guess the death of Batman. But do you think that maybe a power suit is in it for him?
Ooh.
Like a battle suit?
Well, I mean, I don't think he's doing it for a power suit. I think he's doing it because he'll be promised a position of power once Earth is invaded and conquered. But if he gets a power suit out of it, you know, that's cool too.
We haven't heard any news that Jesse Eisenberg has done any filming. And as we know from the video that Zack Snyder tweeted last week, the filming is done. So,
yeah. Are
you sure it's Lex Luthor? Like, wouldn't we have gotten wind that Jesse Eisenberg was filming scenes for Justice League?
I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. Who knows?
Do you have any other guesses who it could be besides Lex Luthor or Red Hood?
I don't think it's anyone. It could be anyone else. I think it has to be Lex Luthor.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll just put that. We'll just put a little pin in that. I'll come back to it later. So moving on to Marvel news, the first poster has been revealed for the movie Logan, and I have to say, so also that was revealed was that the film is actually called Logan,
which I called it.
You called it.
I called it. It was back like in March.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm probably gonna put in the audio right here of when you called it and when it's gonna be called Logan.
You don't need to do it. Just go back and listen to the old. It was Superman versus Dr. Doom, I believe, that episode. Yeah. I said, like, I really hope it was called just Logan.
Yeah, because I thought it was going to be called, instead of, like, Wolverine : Old Man Logan, I thought it was just going to be called Old Man Logan.
Yeah.
And then you said, I think it's just going to be called Logan.
Yeah.
So kudos, good sir.
Woohoo!
Just remember that you heard it here, folks. See, that's why it's important to listen to this podcast.
Every episode.
Don't miss an episode because sometimes we get shit right. Logan is the title of the next Wolverine movie that was revealed.
Super excited.
The poster looks amazing.
It looks... It's
the best X-Men poster.
I already want to like start shedding a tear just from the poster.
It's in the top 3 comic book superhero movie posters.
No, just because like the little girl's hand. Like the movies that make me like tear up are always movies about like sacrifice, so, like Saving Private Ryan, Braveheart, those types of films. Just from this poster alone, because like I have 2 daughters. And just like seeing this little girl's hand in his hand, and like he has like scars, which like already shows you that. Like he's not healing as well as he used to.
Right.
And then like his claws are out, so like having this child's hand like so close to like such a dangerous weapon, yet this is what's protecting her. You know, if they're going the route of this big for me, that I honestly think that they're killing Wolverine in this movie. I think he's going to sacrifice himself for this little girl.
Yeah, there's a lot that's being communicated in this poster, and one of the things that they never quite dive deep into in the persona of Wolverine and the first X-Men movie notwithstanding is his role as a protector over like his proteges, these young girls. Like he was a mentor to Jubilee, he was a mentor to Shadowcat.
In the first movie, it was to Rogue.
Right? Yeah. So he forms a bond with these young women, and they really look up to him and everything. So it'll be really cool to see that kind of protector role take place in this film, especially when it's possible that he's going to learn that the X-23, the little girl character, is a clone of him, so he might feel a very strong paternal instinct to protect her.
It's like this is the daughter that he never had.
Right, exactly. So
I just from this poster alone, I get the feeling that if they do this movie right, this could be like one of the most powerful superhero films that have ever been made, and thus my favorite. On Marvel side, anyway.
That being said, check your expectations.
No, it's gonna be the best movie ever made.
It could be the best poster ever made. You never know. I mean, the movie could just be okay. That being said, I'm like there was also a page from the script that had leaked that kind of went into some detail about the tone that they're trying to get from this film. It's that it's going to be very realistic. It's not going to be a poppy superhero tale, which is kind of what the previous Wolverine movie was. Like the previous Wolverine movie, for the first 2/3 of the film, was a very grounded tale.
But once they got into Silver Samurai,
it became kind of overblown and cartoony. So it looks like they don't want to do that with this film. It looks like they want to keep it very grounded, which I think is very good. I'm really glad that it's going to be rated R, so we're going to get to see all the violence of see the actual consequences of him using his claws. Severed limbs, like
in the Instagram photo that they released.
Yeah, there was another photo that was released. It was an Instagram photo of a guy, of an arm, a severed limb that was holding a shotgun. It was in black and white, but it was bloody and everything.
Follow Zack Snyder on Twitter and follow Weapon X on Instagram.
WPONX. Yeah,
because they're releasing some interesting stuff.
Yeah. They also released an image of Patrick Stewart as Professor X, and according to I forget whose report this was. Let me look it up real quick. It was The Wrap.
Yeah.
A website called The Wrap. They are, and this is not been confirmed, these story details, but it seems to go in line with everything that we've seen marketing wise so far. They're saying that Professor X is he's almost 100 years old by this point. This movie takes place in the year 2024, I think they're saying, and that he's very withered and his mind is going. His powers aren't nearly as strong as they were, and he has trouble remembering things. And the image that they released of Patrick Stewart as Professor X he's very withered, very old looking. They did a good job with the makeup to make him look like he's like near death.
Or they just didn't put any makeup on him.
Nah, Patrick Stewart doesn't look that bad.
No,
he's still a spry man as far as I'm concerned. I just saw Patrick Stewart in The Green Room.
Oh, you saw that movie?
Yeah, I saw that movie.
I've wanted to.
And he's looking good in the movie. So he's not nearly as old as that image portrays. That's definitely a makeup job. They did a good job. They put like spots on him and everything. Just to one of the other story details is that Logan he's an alcoholic. He's losing his powers, and to kind of cope with everything in his life and the loss of those powers and the fact that mutants aren't really being born anymore, and those that are being really turned into soldiers and
interesting.
Stuff. Yeah,
I think another powerful story element, in that like these were like the promised evolutionary form of mankind, and like they're ceasing to exist.
Yeah, it seems like it doesn't make sense why they would cease to be born unless like some human who hated mutants had found a way to suppress the X gene. Or if we're taking off from the X-Men 3 timeline, if that's where this film takes off from, I'm not sure where it takes off from. Maybe a lot of it has been cured mutations, since we know there is a cure in that timeline. Yeah. So anyway, I forgot what I was saying. So he's an alcoholic. He's using alcohol to cope, and he's just really down and out, losing his powers as well. He's I guess a limo driver at this point. And we saw the limo in some of the set photos.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all we know. We know Stephen Merchant is playing Caliban, so it makes me.
And he was in X-Men Apocalypse too. Yeah, character.
Caliban was in X-Men Apocalypse,
Fox.
which makes me think, one, that the Fox still doesn't care about continuity.
No.
And two, this may be picking up from the original timeline, is what my guess is, where perhaps Caliban was born later on. That's my guess.
All right.
Or, I guess the other theory is that Caliban...
There's multiple guys named Caliban or something.
Lives a long time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which mutants are kind of prone to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it, to this film. You just reminded me of those set photos and how young that little girl is.
Yeah.
I think we were like talking about like whether that's good or bad. I thought it was good. I think it makes the story more powerful.
I think it does too. I don't think you want to see him... You don't want to see him protecting somebody who can really handle themselves.
Yeah,
on their own.
It shouldn't be like Negasonic Teenage Warhead where she's like angsty and stuff like that.
Yeah, as most teenage girls are, is that?
Oh,
as they're often characterized, I should say. Most teenage girls are not angsty, but I think that you could say that the X-23 character in the comics, what was her name?
Oh,
she has a name.
I knew this.
Begins with an L.
I forget. She's angsty, isn't she?
Yeah, she is angsty.
So is his son.
Yeah,
Wolverine's
they both
son.
kind of are. They both have a little bit of an attitude. So, having someone younger and more innocent to take care of and really take responsibility for and protect, I think, is a better
And not
story
saying that like she has to be like completely pure. She should be able to handle her own, considering the fact that she's a clone of Wolverine.
Yeah. It'd be cool to see that like she's afraid of her powers almost though, or something. Like I don't want to see her use them too much, maybe.
Right.
Especially I don't want to see her kill anybody in a rated R film and everything.
No,
like that. I feel like
that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, probably.
And it's going to be powerful. If they do it right. Don't fuck this up. This could be so good.
I do trust James Mangold.
So much potential.
Mangold?
Well, what other... He directed the last Wolverine film, right?
Yes, he did. Okay. Yeah. He's a good director, so...
Come on, guys. You have gold in your hands. Don't mess it up.
Yeah. All right. Moving back to DC news. What do you think of the Suicide Squad extended cut that was announced?
On Twitter...
On Twitter.
The Suicide Squad Twitter feed. That's where the news first dropped, that they're releasing an extended cut. They're not calling it the ultimate cut. They're calling it the extended cut. So in the BVS ultimate cut, there was about a half hour worth of additional footage.
Mm-hmm.
For the extended cut, it's only 13 minutes.
Does that surprise you?
Yeah, it does.
13 minutes in movie terms can be quite a bit of story if it's
13 pages,
interspersed in between a bunch of other scenes.
That's true.
13 minutes can last a while.
I thought that
it's half of like a standard sitcom.
That's very true. Yeah. That's very true. And you could do a lot in that time. I don't know. I was just assuming that a lot more than 13 minutes was cut from the film. It felt like
when we did the review for Suicide Squad, you went down the list of all the reported deleted scenes that had taken place.
Yeah, and Because of this, I imagine not all of those.
Yeah,
are
not all of those. I think what we're gonna see mostly is the Joker. I think all the Joker scenes that were cut are gonna make it in here.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I mean, they could have called this the Joker cut.
Yeah, actually, that would have been good marketing wise.
Yeah.
So I know like a lot of people didn't really care when they announced the extended cut because they're like, oh, cool, whatever. I like the movie anyway. But like a lot of fans were pissed because. And rightfully so, because this is the second time Warner Brothers has done this.
I wasn't pissed. This is what I was hoping they would do.
I think we said best case scenario, they release an extended cut. We didn't think it was going to happen, but we did say it was...
I totally didn't see it coming.
It's second best case scenario. I think... Oh, somebody's running the water. There we go. I think best case scenario, they should have released this version in theaters. I mean, it's only 13 minutes longer. And like I said, it can be a substantial amount of story. But... in the terms of overall runtime, like, why did they cut this if it's only 13 minutes? They could have easily put this in theaters.
Yeah. So, like, the worst part of me thinks that maybe they did this on purpose. I'm not saying they did, and they probably didn't, but...
Did what? Like, really put an extended cut out there for fans?
Well, like, put up like, the studio cut, and then like they'll release like the actual cut.
See, they got to stop doing that though.
Yeah, I know. Because it pisses people off.
The theatrical cuts are lacking. I really don't want to see this done with Wonder Woman, where they release an inferior theatrical cut, and then release a superior cut on Blu-ray.
Yeah, and the way they're doing this one is interesting because the digital version comes out a month before the Blu-ray. The physical disc. Mm-hmm. So I almost feel like there's no way anyone who's interested in seeing this is going to wait a month to buy the disc.
Right.
So they're at least going to rent it digitally and then maybe pick it up later. So they get more money out of it that way.
Wait, is that true? I didn't hear that anywhere.
Yeah.
They were releasing the version. Okay.
I think the digital version... Shit, and I better double check this. I believe the digital version comes out at the end of October, and then the Blu-ray comes out end of November. Okay. And I'm going to double check that. You entertain people.
All right. So here's the things that I want to see in the extended cut, besides the Joker scenes. I want to see more Captain Boomerang. I want to see him actually use his boomerangs. I want to see more Katana, because I feel like Katana and Boomerang were the characters that suffered most in the theatrical cut of the film.
Oh yeah, like they're deleted. So like was rumored to be their scenes.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even care if we see more Joker, honestly. I want to see more of the main cast fleshed out. I want to see more Killer Croc too. Those three characters.
Yeah.
I don't care if they add more Harley Quinn.
You really don't care if they add more Joker? If you were saying earlier, like,
well, I guess
it's probably going to be that, and I'm glad that it is.
I mean, yeah, I do care if they don't add more Joker, but I hope it's not just more Joker. I also want to see more, like I said, Captain Boomerang, Katana, and Killer Croc.
Yeah. So. All right, I lied to you earlier. The digital version, it comes out mid-November, and the Blu-ray comes out mid-December.
Oh, really? December?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So we're not even going to see it this month.
No.
It's going to happen next month. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So are we going to do you think we should do a review of the extended cut of Suicide Squad the same way we did another review of Batman vs. Superman, the Ultimate Edition?
We didn't even know we were going to do that until we saw it and decided, like, it's different enough that we should definitely, like, if the star rating changes, then we should probably do another review of it.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Yeah, we can do that.
DC films get 2 reviews.
Yay! Which is good because actually we have so many Marvel reviews coming out between the Netflix shows and the movies that are being released this year. We don't have a whole lot of DC content to review. So you never know. Maybe we should do a review of the extended cut.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's it for that news unless you have anything else to say about that.
No. I'm glad it's happening again.
Yep.
So.
All right, so Black Panther. We have a few tidbits of casting news. If this cast couldn't already get any better,
I know, right?
Or bigger. Actor Winston Duke, who actually I'm not too familiar with.
No.
He will play the nefarious M'Baku,
M'Baku,
aka Man Ape.
And who is the man-ape?
Man-ape?
Is he... So, is it... Does he have...
He's a Black Panther.
In the same sense that Black Panther has panther powers, sort of?
Yeah.
He has ape powers?
He's the head of the White Gorilla Clan in Wakanda. Just like Black Panther is the head of the Panther Clan.
No, what?
Huh?
Oh, they're tribes?
Yeah, they're
so the Panther tribe happens to be the ruling government class for Wakanda?
Quote, cults, kind of like clans.
They're tribes.
Tribes, yeah, there you go. Yeah, the Panther Clan happens to be like the ruling class. And the White Gorilla Clan has kind of been outlawed. They were kind of suppressed by the Panther Clan during battles. And yeah, Man-Ape is the leader of them, and he does have ape powers. He has the strength and everything like that. And
wow,
and
I didn't think. I mean, so African politics are always kind of
volatile.
Well, volatile, but yeah, and I guess I didn't realize that I forgot the word I was going to use, but volatile is a great word. I didn't think they were going to get this political with the Black Panther movie in terms of like tribal warfare and stuff like that. That's interesting. Yeah,
my guess is that he's not going to be called Man-Ape in the film, and I think since you already have Killmonger in the film, my guess is that Man-Ape is going to be more of the muscle kind of thing, more of a henchman type role.
Really?
It would be cool. I was a little disappointed because I kind of wanted to see him have his own film, like in the Black Panther sequel or something, as a bad guy. So to see him presumably perhaps be the more of a henchman type in this film is kind of disappointing. But I like the character. He's a cool character. He's a good adversary for Black Panther. So I'm glad he's going to be in the film. It still makes me think that the fact that he's in this film makes me even more convinced that Ulysses Claw is not going to be, or in a very small role, and they might save him for later films.
I mean, yeah, I guess I'm less disappointed by that now that like it's kind of shown that he's not going to be that hostile towards him as he is in the comics because, again, in the comics, Claw is the one who killed his father. Right. So, I mean, to have him in this film, I guess you don't need him because there's not that same, like, emotional connection to the villain. Right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Although, I mean, you could always retcon and say that, like, Claw, in order to get the vibranium that he gave Ultron in the Age of Ultron movie, you could say that he killed a lot of Wakandans to get all that vibranium. You never know.
Yeah. Wait, just to go back real quick to Man-Ape. Does he have powers?
Yeah, I said he has gorilla powers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, super strong, fast, durable. Every bit as strong and durable as Black Panther, if not more so. So
good.
He's a good physical opponent. Not always the smartest. Killmonger will definitely be the brains because Killmonger is very smart in the comics and everything. Both M'Baku and Killmonger were both banished from Wakanda, so that might play a role in this story where they're banished Wakandans coming back to kind of start a revolution or something like that. So you never know. Forest Whitaker is going to be in the Black Panther film.
I thought that was interesting.
Love that actor. He's been cast as Zuri, who is a former ally of Black Panther's father, T'Chaka. He's kind of like an elder warrior, statesman, tribesman. So cool. He'll play more of like a mentor role. Now that T'Chaka is gone. More of a mentor role to T'Challa.
He seems like he's well suited for that role.
Yeah, I think. Man, I'm still looking forward to this movie. And actually, the way I hear they're going with it, now that I think about it, and now that we're talking about it, I'm kind of glad that they might be saving Claw for a later film, because this one seems much more... I don't think you want to go the whole outsider route just yet. It's cool that they're kind of like taking this film from the perspective of like an internal conflict, as opposed to like dealing with the outside world.
It's interesting because Africa does not get a lot of attention. Like, how many people are familiar with like like the tribal political systems that most like countries have there and stuff like that? So it could bring some like much needed attention to some regions that could use the attention.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know about that. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if it maybe brings in like African geopolitical issues into the limelight. I don't know how
exactly.
I don't know how topical it will be, but we'll see. I'm just glad that there's you know, a superhero out there that's not, you know, alien or American. You know, it's a Marvel superhero. It's cool to see, you know, one from a different continent like Africa.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
TV news. Crossing over into the TV side of things. So on DC's end, the Dominators have been revealed to be the villains for DC's 4-part crossover. So they've always had... Actually, I don't think Legends of Tomorrow was part of the crossover last year. But since Flash has been around, they've had like back-to-back like 2-part episodes where Arrow will visit Central City and the Flash will visit Star City. And those are always really cool episodes. Last year, they sort of introduced some Legends of Tomorrow characters in Hawkman and Hawkgirl. But other than that, the Legends, I don't think the show had even debuted yet, honestly. Yeah, that's right. So this is huge. It's going to be a 4-part crossover, and it's the Dominators. If you're not familiar with the Dominators, they're an alien race in DC Comics, and they're like really obsessed with genetics and like metagenes and stuff like that. And they're interested in Earth because of our metahumans, and it should be interesting. Todd McFarlane, I don't know if he created them, but I think it was Jim Shooter and Todd McFarlane who created them.
Jim Shooter?
Yeah. So that's interesting, and I know the show creators have been talking about really capturing the look that Todd McFarlane created for the Dominators. They're like these yellow, like goblin faced creatures with like red circles in the middle of their forehead. So it should be creepy. It should be awesome.
I'm trying to picture what they look like. Do they look like white Martians?
They're more like Nosferatu than that. They're not
really?
They're not like roided out.
Like a yellow Nosferatu with a big red dot on the forehead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
I'll have to look it up.
But with like, you know, like the standard pupilless eye kind of look.
Okay.
So I've never, like, Arrow really hasn't encountered aliens on their show.
Mm-hmm.
Or neither has The Flash, honestly. The only show that's really done that is Supergirl, which I'm getting caught up on. I'm already on the Martian Manhunter episodes, and he's badass, and the show's getting pretty good. I'm trying to catch up before tomorrow's the new season premiere, so there's no way I'm going to get caught up. But I'm liking what I'm seeing so far.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Does he have all the same powers?
Yeah. Yeah, he's cool.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I've always liked Martian Manhunter, even though he's always been overpowered. I've always found him pretty interesting.
He's definitely one of the most overpowered characters in DC for sure.
Yeah, they need to cut down on the number of powers. He needs to be less Superman-like. We
went into this in one of our episodes.
Did I already discuss this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where you talked about how you just want him to have like telepathy and what was it?
And shapeshifting.
Shapeshifting, yeah.
Yeah. Everything else, like the Martian vision, all the Superman stuff can just go away, I think.
Yeah.
The flight.
Yeah.
So, is that it for that one?
Yep. So related to that, we got our first look at the JSA in Legends of Tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
So there's photos of Stargirl, who looks pretty cool.
JSA being the Justice Society of America.
Yes.
Which is kind of like an alternate team.
It was a precursor to
Justice
the Justice League. Yeah. It was the first, I guess you can consider the first super team, unless you're talking about the Invaders in Marvel. I don't know who came first, honestly.
I don't know.
But, like I always thought, like, a good matchup would be, like, JSA versus the Invaders. That'd be a cool fight.
Like with Captain America, the Submariner, the Human Torch, the old android Human Torch.
Yeah. Versus, like, original Flash, original Green Lantern. These are not the original characters by any means. We have Stargirl, we have Dr. Midnight, Our Man, who is actually in the season finale of Legends of Tomorrow.
Are they from the future in this show?
No, they're from the past.
From the past? Like World War II era?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So that's
Stargirl does not look very World War II.
No, her costume is very progressive and modern, apparently, I guess.
Yeah. Like, it shows the midriff and everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, but Our Man can time travel. Or at least he can in this universe. So Our Man never had that power. There was an android who came from the future who had that power, but I guess they're kind of borrowing from that.
Huh.
So
that he's not just a guy who takes a drug,
right,
and gets strong,
right. So they have Obsidian, which is, I guess you could consider him a replacement for Green Lantern. They're probably too afraid to do Green Lantern, the Alan Scott version. So they used his son instead, which is like he's an anti-Green Lantern. He works with like darkness instead of light constructs. So.
But Dr. Midnight is also on the team, it looked like.
Yeah.
So, but he has like his blackout bombs and everything. So are they going to have two characters with hoods and darkness powers?
They do, yep.
Interesting.
And, Obsidian turns bad, so I wouldn't be surprised if, like, I don't know if this is a spoiler alert, but he'll probably go bad, like, midway through the season, just kind of in the same way that Heatwave sort of did in the middle of Legends of Tomorrow. I don't know. But you also have Vixen, which we saw on Arrow. She was a character in the Arrow show. She's actually the star of her own cartoon on CW Seed. I haven't seen it, but it takes place in the same universe. So we get like her ancestor. She's in the JSA, and then we have Steel. I don't know if it's Captain Steel or Citizen Steel. He's just really strong in the comics. That's essentially, he has like unbreakable skin. It's like Luke Cage.
Okay.
That would actually be not a terrible battle cast to do if we ever do Luke Cage. Would be him versus Captain Steel or Citizen Steel.
What's the difference between Captain Steel and Citizen Steel?
Well, it's a legacy character.
Okay.
I don't think there is a difference.
Okay.
Except
who came first?
Captain Steel.
Okay.
I think Citizen Steel. I don't know if he could remove his armor. I forget. I don't know. I may have just made that up. I forget. Anyway, they're essentially the same character.
Okay.
And he's also looks like on the show. So that's the JSA for you. And we got to see them. There was we haven't really talked about any of the like the CW show extended like look trailers or anything like that. But if you get a chance, you should definitely take a look at that because you get to see the JSA in action. You get sort of like sneak peeks from the 4-part crossover and the extended and the Legends of Tomorrow extended look.
So during the 4-part crossover,
yeah, what
is the title of the show going to be? Like, is it going to be called?
Oh no, I mean it's still Supergirl and Flash and Arrow and Legends.
So they're going to take an episode from each one of those shows and dedicate it to the crossover?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what they've done in the past.
Okay.
So
does that mean you're going to get the full crossover within the span of a week?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, because Supergirl's on Mondays, Flash is on Tuesdays, Arrow's on Wednesdays, and Legends is on Thursdays. And if we had Constantine on CW on Fridays, that would have been perfect.
That would have been DC overkill.
It would have been perfect.
It would have been half their programming.
Well, yeah. CW is all about DC Universe right now. It is like literally half their programming.
The DC channel.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It is cool.
All right. Is that it for that news then?
Yep.
For JSA and Legends of Tomorrow?
Yep.
And the Dominators?
Yep. Totally thought you were going to say Dominatrix. Right there. I don't know why.
So, all right, let's get into the big news.
What?
This week.
Oh,
and it involves
from
Marvel
Comic-Con?
Netflix.
Yeah.
So, there was an Iron Fist trailer that debuted at the New York Comic-Con. What did you think of it?
The whole time I was just waiting to see the glowing fist, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about
I was surprised that they showed it. It was a teaser trailer. It was very short, but it was very action-packed. It looks to have...
Sure.
There was at least twice the action in this teaser as there was in the Luke Cage show, which we'll get more into, I think. They keep touting this off as the Marvel's version of a kung fu film kind of thing. And that's what I'm really hoping for. There was a lot of kung fu in here.
I like kung fu films.
Yeah, Kung Fu films are great, man. Who doesn't like Kung Fu films? If you don't like Kung Fu films, you can just get the heck out.
Get the hell out!
So, like, and I thought they were going to hold off on showing, like, the Iron Fist until even, like, midway through the season or something like that. But the fact that we get to see what the Iron Fist looks like
Good gosh,
in the teaser trailer.
If I have to wait, like, until episode 6 to see the Fist, that's going to suck.
I guarantee you we're not going to see the costume this season. Or maybe not till the last episode.
That's not surprising at all. When did we get the actual Daredevil costume? Last episode?
Yeah, the last episode.
Yeah.
So, and same thing with the Punisher. We didn't see him in costume until the last episode as well.
Right.
And Elektra. Well, that's not true. She wore red.
Yeah.
She wore a red outfit, like, halfway through Daredevil Season 2. And she fought in it, so. Except for that one. So that one was good. We never did see in the Luke Cage television show, though. He never wore, like, a yellow shirt, though. He wore like a black hoodie with like yellow lining.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that being said, I'll be doubtful to that we'll get a chance to. I am doubtful that we'll see the Iron Fist costume in any form until like probably the very end.
I'm sure it's gonna be pretty modernized because his costume with the high collar, it just looks. I mean, then like the cut that goes down to like his belly button or whatever. It's pretty.
Well, he wears a different costume than that now in the comics. So.
Oh really?
Yeah, he doesn't show his. It's not all exposed.
Okay.
So.
Showing off the tat.
Yeah. Yeah. The tat was pretty cool looking. What did you think of the tat?
I mean,
I'm used to
the logo.
I'm used to it being symmetrical, so the fact that it was so asymmetrical on his chest kind of threw me off a little bit. But I do like the way they updated that emblem. I like the way it looks in print. So you gotta make it match.
Yeah.
It looks like a tattoo, like a black tattoo.
It is a tattoo, right? It's not like a birthmark or anything.
No, it's like I wouldn't call it a tattoo because tattoo is very ink and needle type thing. It's more of like a. I always imagined it more of like just a black magic etching kind of thing. I don't know.
They should have made it like a scar or a burn.
Like a burn, yeah, or something. Especially since like he got the power of the Iron Fist through the heart of a dragon and everything like that, so you can make it like burn. Like it's a dragon, it can burn. I don't know.
It's a legit tattoo.
It's a legit tattoo. Do you want that tattoo? I might get that tattoo.
Across your chest?
No, it wouldn't work.
I'd have to shave it every day.
So the Iron Fist, it glows. I remember in early comics, it didn't really glow from the inside, and it was more like a pink kind of energy, kind of aura around his fist that would kind of trail and everything like that. But later on in the comics, the Iron Fist power was portrayed as kind of like his hand was like glowing with light. It was like emanating light and everything. And that's kind of the way they chose to portray it in this television show, it looks like. So if you haven't seen the trailer yet, go ahead and look it up. The Iron Fist Netflix teaser trailer. Go ahead and search for that. You'll see like
veins
like
and stuff.
It's almost like a light is shining through his hand, like or emanating from inside his hand, and like you can see his like veins, and everything like that.
If you've ever like held like a flashlight up against your hand and like it glows like a red, but you can see the veins. It's like that, except this is much more of like a yellow, orange, gold, golden color.
It looks really cool.
It's a great special effect.
It's a great effect.
I mean, I was thrown off by the sound they chose to go there. The sound choice, it made it sound at that point, even with like it sounded like, I guess they were going for an iron sound, but it sounded very machine like. That threw me off.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain they're not going to use that sound for it. It was just background Foley kind of
for the trailer.
Yeah, because that all three of those shots with Iron Fist and him showing him using it were spliced from different parts of the series. So
if the Iron Fist had sounded like something, what would it sound like?
What would it sound like? That's a good question. It wouldn't sound mechanical at all.
Because I didn't realize this until like I heard like the mechanical kind of sound in the trailer. I was thinking like a glass bowl, or a crystal bowl, like when you rub the rim of it, like with the wet finger.
Yeah, I don't think it would be as high pitched though. It would sound more. Yeah, it would definitely sound natural. And I don't know what does chi energy sound like. It wouldn't
like
be
a
like
crystal
electricity,
bowl.
I guess.
Or
something
like
deeper
the
than
brass
that.
bowl with like the...
Yes, that would sound much better as for a chi. Yeah, the brass bowl.
Like the Buddhist monks. Like,
yes.
I don't know what they do. It was like brass on brass.
Something like that. Yeah, that would be cool.
Like the Om.
Like a very subtle, deep tone version of that, I think, would be good for the Iron Fist.
They have to put some kind of sound engineering behind it.
So there was a scene description. They should have seen at the New York Comic Con, and description came out as well. I don't want to go too much into it because it was very spoiler heavy, but it kind of described, Danny Rand coming back to New York to kind of take back his father's company, and Harold Meacham who's the guy who kind of betrayed his father, is currently running it. But he just came back from Danny Rand just came back from Kunlun, so they think he's like a hobo or something, and they just kick him out. But he's able to fight his way up into the building and everything like that. So it sounded like a cool scene. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. They announced that the series will premiere on March 17th, so next spring. So I guess look forward to us reviewing that around that time.
St. Patrick's Day?
Around that time.
Okay.
Yeah, not St. Patty's Day. In other Defenders news, the filming for Punisher has already started, which I was kind of thrown off by when they said that they showed set photos, and Frank Castle he had a big beard and everything like that, and they had some photos of Deborah Ann Wall.
Yeah, the actress who plays Karen Page.
Yeah, it's Karen Page sitting next to him, so she's gonna make at least a guest spot in that series. But I was confused because Punisher is not coming out until after the Defenders show. So why are they starting to film Punisher now? My opinion at the time was that they're actually shooting the Defenders series now, and that was kind of not debunked outright, but that theory was kind of
debunked outright.
Well, no, because they haven't said that this is specifically the Punisher shooting. They said that the Punisher Netflix show will not be released until 2018, spring of 2018. I can't imagine them sitting on a show for that long. They didn't say outright that it wasn't the Defenders show that's filming. So, I don't know.
I mean, during the Iron Fist trailer, it was pretty marketed heavily that, this is the final Defender.
Right.
So I don't know if Frank Castle's going to be in that show.
So why are they shooting so early for the Punisher for the show?
Scheduling.
Shouldn't they be shooting the Defenders about now if it's going to come out about this time next year?
Scheduling.
I guess. They're all available?
I mean, John Bernthal's in still quite a few Hollywood films.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in The Accountant that comes out soon.
Yeah.
What else? I forget. It could just be scheduling, honestly.
Interesting.
Or special effects. Maybe there's a big special effects.
There's going to be a lot of special effects in the Punisher series.
Yeah, he's going up against Mephisto or something like that.
I don't know. It's confusing to me, the whole shooting timeline around the Defenders and the Punisher. So we'll see what happens with that. The biggest news to come out of the Defenders news is the four cast members, Daredevil and Iron Fist and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. They were all called up on stage. And so it was, I'm trying to remember if I can remember all the actors' names.
Go.
Mike Coulter.
Okay.
Kristen Ritter.
Okay.
Finn Jones.
Yep.
And oh God, who plays Daredevil? No, who plays Daredevil? Do you know?
No.
Shoot, no, I know.
I forgot.
Why is this important? I don't know, but I'm looking it up anyway. Charlie Cox. Damn it, I knew it was alliterative.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they're all up on stage. And Jeff Loeb says that they're going to pull out the villain of the series who needs no introduction, and announces Sigourney Weaver as the villain of the Defenders. And she walks out. And we had heard rumblings around that Sigourney Weaver was up for or interested in some Marvel type role.
Yeah.
So it was cool
I thought
to
it was
see.
going to be in one of the films.
Yeah, me too. But the fact that it's going to be in the series just goes to show that the Netflix shows are doing just a great job at casting the roles.
They're attracting big names.
They are definitely
because they're really good.
Yeah, some of the best work that Marvel Studios is putting out there. So it should attract a lot of big names like that. She's a great actress. Love Sigourney Weaver. Really excited to see what the role is. There's a lot of speculation around what it could possibly be.
Who do you think?
We know that she's going to be the primary antagonist. So my initial instinct when she first came out to the stage, because she was wearing a green handkerchief, I think it was, around her neck, was that she's going to be Viper. And because Viper, the character in the comics, in addition to at times being the head of Hydra as Madam Hydra, she's also had ties to the Hand. So I'm wondering if she might be the head of the Hand, which is kind of like the end of Daredevil season 2 kind of seemed to insinuate that story was going to carry forward within the immediate future. So it's left a lot of people to assume that the Defenders will be fighting the Hand or something to do with the Hand.
It definitely looks like the Hand will play a role in Iron Fist's show.
Right, that is well.
Because you saw Madame Chow,
Madame
you
Gao.
saw Madame Gao,
Yeah.
you saw ninjas and stuff like that. So I'm assuming that will definitely carry through into the Defenders. But I also think I heard a rumor that she was going to be playing like the CEO of, what was the name? IGH? IGH.
Yeah, they were the people that were in charge of giving Nuke his powers, and they may have been the people that were behind
Jessica Jones
and maybe even Daredevil's powers.
And maybe even Luke Cage's.
Yeah, Professor Bernstein was involved somehow. I mean, we don't know. We still don't know the whole story behind Reva.
I mean, yeah, it kind of seems like.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see them all. Well, although it would be a catalyst for bringing them all together if they're all IGH related. I don't know. I don't know. It seems very coincidental.
Look,
but
Iron Fist wouldn't be IGH related, I don't think. But like, if IGH is working with the hand, then because you have Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, which have the for IGH, they make a good team up, and then Iron Fist and Daredevil against the Hand, they make a good team. Those two, I mean, they all make a good team. But
yeah,
I think that makes sense.
That would make sense. She's very like CEO type, business type. So
Viper, or you mean Sigourney Weaver?
Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, I think she could be both. Honestly, I think she could be the head of the Hand, and IGH's superior officer.
Yeah, there was a report about a month ago. Can't remember who reported it. It was a site. Damn it, I'll have to look it up. But there was word from some insider saying that they were considering Mephisto as the villain of the Defenders, which would make sense to use. Like, I don't think they would ever use Mephisto in the mainstream movie cinematic universe, Marvel Cinematic Universe, because he might be too dark. They seem to be going with the darker stuff more on the Netflix shows.
That's true.
So, like, especially if they want to branch out into more of the supernatural, like Ghost Rider, Moon Knight, and Blade properties, they might go the Mephisto route.
I was actually thinking, like, now that Ghost Rider is on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I mean, have they established a seasonal villain for that yet? What if the source was confused and it was a Marvel television property but not anything on Netflix? What if it was just Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
That's likely. That's likely. But could you see Sigourney Weaver playing Mephisto? It would definitely be an interesting take. Like, it seems almost better for her to play Mephisto than some kind of like gangly actor guy wearing a red jumpsuit, kind of jumping around playing the devil. Yeah, I could see Sigourney Weaver playing like a devil type character.
She could totally pull it off.
She could pull off almost any role that we're talking. I don't think she's going to do anything too physical. Like, I don't think she's going to be like a physical match for them. It's going to be more like an organizational / mental type challenge.
Yeah. I hope she is Viper, and I hope she's way better than the character was in the Wolverine.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I only saw part of that film so far. I mean, I plan on finishing it eventually someday.
I don't know why Viper, Madam Hydra, was in the Wolverine film. She was nothing like her character. She was a mutant in the Wolverine movie. And while I liked the Wolverine movie, that was not Viper. That was, I don't know what that was. That was somebody else.
Yeah, it's Fox. It was Fox.
It was Fox, basically. Yes. So I think that's it for that news. So coming off the news, the Defenders news, let's go ahead and review Luke Cage.
Yep.
All right. So if you listen to our previous reviews, you'll know that we like to do like our own little musical intro thing. But I thought that the music was so fantastic on this show that it was worth doing 2 different songs.
Yeah.
So the song that you just heard was called Theme, also created by Young and Muhammad. And I thought, all these Marvel Netflix themes, the Daredevil one and the Jessica Jones theme, have been fantastic.
For sure.
I think this one continues that trend.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the opening title sequences for these shows.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure what to expect going into this one. It's definitely the most generic of the 3. It's a huge, and along with this whole show, it's like a huge love letter to Harlem.
It is, definitely.
But also, it definitely grew on me. Of the 3, if I had my own show based on my life, I would want the Luke Cage one.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It's definitely a love letter to Harlem, and that's one of the big overall ideas that I have of the show, is that Harlem is the main character of this show. I think Luke Cage almost plays a secondary role to the character of Harlem.
Not sorry to interrupt you, but all of the Netflix shows have been sort of love letters to New York.
Even more so this one though.
I was watching this Luke Cage, and I was like, I bet I would appreciate this a lot more if I visited or lived in Harlem.
Yeah,
I bet the people of Harlem are like, this is the coolest thing ever. How cool that this show exists.
Yeah, the whole first episode, I thought, it didn't really set up the story in the way that the first episodes of the previous 2 shows did. It took its time, and you really got to know the environment, the characters. He's walking through the streets, and it's almost like a day in the life of Luke Cage. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And very much not like the other ones, which really jumped into the plot and were exciting right away. One of my I think overall, this was I liked it. It was a good Luke Cage show. I don't like it. When you compare it to Daredevil or Jessica Jones, I don't think it matched them. I don't think it quite reached those heights. I didn't like it quite as much overall.
Going into it, when people were saying that, this is the greatest thing that Marvel has ever made, period.
Yes.
My expectations were pretty high, especially after coming right off of Jessica Jones.
Yes.
And I would agree that I don't think it lives up to those shows, to the other previous shows.
Right. And I think where this one loses its way is while remaining true to the character and everything, just like those other shows, those shows had solid arcs to them. Solid narrative arcs that started from episode 1 and followed through all the way to the end. This one, if you had to tell me what the overall story of this season was, what would it be? What's the main thematic arc that ran through the whole show?
Luke Cage tries to save Harlem.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. But
the thing in that, though, is that, in the previous shows, it was more concrete.
Yes.
With Daredevil Season 1, it was...
trying to stop Wilson Fisk from, taking over the city and kind of
growing
into this character.
There was a clear antagonist. In Luke Cage, they switched antagonists up, kind of.
Yes.
Halfway through the season.
Yeah. And in that sense, I think Luke Cage felt a little bit more like a standard television show, like something you could catch on ABC, minus all the language and the violence and everything like that. Yeah. It felt more episodic, I think.
Instead of one long movie.
Instead of one long movie, which is kind of what Daredevil Season 1 and Jessica Jones felt like.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, it felt less like a long movie and felt more like a television show. Like a whole season. So I think that was to its detriment, and I think that's one of the reasons I didn't like it as much, because I like to review these as kind of like a 13-hour movie.
Yeah, and even I've sort of felt this way about each of the Netflix shows. I think they're about 3 hours too long. Game of Thrones does it in 10 episodes, and they do it really well.
Yeah.
I think because each of these series has had the minor subplots. Mm-hmm. I think if you truncated those a little bit, I think the shows would still be great. I think the shows would still be really good.
Yes, I think they'd be better.
And because they all kind of seemed to like fall flat at the very end. Like my biggest gripe with like Jessica Jones was the end. How I felt like cheated.
Yeah.
And then you could almost say the same things for like both of the Daredevil seasons as well. You can say that, and I think we did say that for our Daredevil 2 season.
Yeah.
Review, but and I mean, and same thing goes for this one. They kind of like wrap things up maybe try to. I don't know. It's too drawn out. So.
Yeah, a little bit too drawn out. Definitely too little story spread over too many episodes on this one. I think one of my biggest gripes about this show was the lack of action. At least, I mean, like the amount of action could have been comparable to the amount of action that we saw in Jessica Jones, but the way they market it, like Jessica Jones it's like a detective story. You know, you don't expect a whole lot of action in Jessica Jones, physical action, like at least the same way that I do. As I was expecting for a Luke Cage show.
Yeah, you told me that earlier, and like I was initially surprised by that because I don't think I ever felt watching it that there was a lack of action, but when I went through it, and you know, especially with how the film was, or the film, I keep saying film, with how the show was marketed, like it was, they were showing nothing but action scenes. Yeah, I guess it did underperform on that. And
yeah, especially compared to Daredevil. Daredevil has a ton of fantastic action.
Ninja action.
It's some of the best action that you've seen on film or any television show, period. And Luke Cage was definitely lacking in that regard. So I think you could tell by how we're discussing this that, like, overall, I think we were a little bit disappointed in the show.
Yeah. It was still a good show.
Yeah. What were some of the things that you liked overall?
Okay. I liked, Mike Coulter. The
performances were fantastic.
Yeah, he's a great actor. Well, okay, I would not just go that far. There's one character specifically whose performance I thought was
I think I know who you're talking
terrible.
about. Yeah, Diamondback.
Diamondback was. But by the end of the season, when Diamondback was like, you know, pushed to the front as the main villain, not only was the character shitty, I thought the actor was just terrible as well.
It's okay, so my impression of the actor is that back in the early 2000s and in most comic book movies prior to 2008, comic book movies weren't taken as seriously. Actors were some actors, like say Colin Farrell in Daredevil springs to mind, and like how much he hammed it up and everything, and like how he checked his subtlety at the door. And, he's like, I'm in a comic book movie. I'm going to have fun with it. I'm going to be loud and bombastic and everything like that.
Yeah.
I don't think they told the actor, and I can't remember his name, the actor who plays Diamondback, I don't think they gave him the memo saying that we're playing this straight. We're playing this as if it was real. You got to take it seriously.
Right. And, I mean, I don't even think, like, the realism was written for the character. I mean, even, because, like, you have characters like Shades, like, constantly, like, just like talking to Diamondback like he's a bitch or something, just like always like mouthing off to him and stuff. And the character lost a lot of menace behind the way people treated him, behind the fact that he was always smiling.
Well, he did try to have Shades killed.
So kill him yourself, wussy. Come on, dude. Whatever. And then like it was just a horribly written character, a horribly acted character. It brought down the show a few notches for me, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was trying to talk about things I liked about the show. Then we segued into like the worst thing about the show. And I'm sure we'll talk about Diamondback more. But like I liked Mike Coulter. I liked. I really liked
Misty Knight. Who's the actress that plays Misty Knight?
I forget. Oh, I wasn't going to say Misty Knight, although she was great. She was good.
She was fantastic.
I was going to say...
She could almost have her own show.
Gosh, dang it. Rosario Dawson.
Rosario Dawson was good.
Claire? Is that her name?
Yeah, Claire Temple.
Claire Temple.
Yeah.
I really liked the fact that like we got to see more of her than any of the previous shows. Mm-hmm. So that was cool. And Misty Knight, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like the one like Easter egg that... I'm sure there are Easter eggs in this show. I just didn't know what they were. She's like the one Easter egg that I knew. Like when you were talking about like Hellcat and like Nuke from Jessica Jones, like I had no idea.
Oh, okay.
But in this one, I know that Misty Knight goes on to become like a badass superhero with like a robotic arm.
Yeah.
Yeah. She almost becomes like like recently in the comics, like they showed her holding Captain America's shield. Is she like Steve Wilson or what's his name?
Who are you trying to name? Who are you trying to name?
The guy who plays Falcon. What's his real name?
Sam Wilson.
Sam Wilson.
Yeah.
Is she like his sidekick or something like that?
I don't know.
In the comics,
I'm keeping up with it. All right, that's the ice machine from my fridge.
Come on, ice machine. Okay. You know we're podcasting.
I forgot where you were going with that, but I think the performance was great. The actress who played Mariah Dillard, and obviously I'm horrible with actors' names because I can't remember any of these actors' names, but I thought she was fantastic. Obviously, we saw her already in Civil War, but I'm guessing that she's just, a lookalike.
A lookalike.
Maybe a long-lost twin.
Long-lost twin, yeah. Cottonmouth was awesome. I so missed Cottonmouth later on in the season.
I think he was the best performance of the entire series.
I would agree, yeah.
And it was kind of a shame that we did mention spoilers, right? We're going to have to put
spoilers. Come on,
tags.
people.
Got to put spoiler tags on things. All of our reviews are spoilers. It was a shame that they killed him off halfway through the season.
I didn't see it coming at all.
I saw it I only saw it coming in 30 seconds before it happened. As soon as he was playing the piano and they were doing the whole backstory thing, and I knew that Diamondback was going to show up later in the series from the set photos. Mm-hmm. I didn't know when. I had a feeling Cottonmouth was going to die. I didn't know it was going to be Mariah that was going to kill him, and I didn't know how she was going to do it.
See,
I thought Luke Cage was going to inadvertently kill him or something. Or
from your description of Diamondback from the last episode, I thought Diamondback was going to be a minor, muscle type villain, like a henchman. Mm-hmm. And then when they were talking about him, later, early on in the episodes about how he's Cottonmouth's supplier and stuff like that, I still didn't think he was going to turn out the way he ended up turning out. Mm-hmm. I thought Cottonmouth was going to go all the way to the end.
I knew he was gonna. I knew that Cottonmouth was gonna be kind of an underling to Diamondback, and that Diamondback was gonna be the major villain of the piece, just because Diamondback, the Willis Stryker character, is a huge bad guy for Luke Cage in the comics. He was one of his best friends growing up. He's the reason why he was sent to Seagate, and
that's straight from the comics.
In the comics, they're not brothers like how they are in the show. But yeah, he's a major player in the world of Luke Cage, a major bad guy. So now I was wrong on Cottonmouth though. See, I thought the version that they were going to show was the Cottonmouth that was in the Serpent Society, who is a black villain who has the ability to open his mouth really big, and it has really strong jaws. But there is another Cottonmouth in the Marvel Universe named Stokes, who is just basically a ruthless gangster.
Oh, really?
And that's who this was. It was that version of Cottonmouth.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
why would Marvel do that? Don't do that, Marvel. Don't give characters the same names. Come on.
Well, there's two Diamondbacks, too. There's the Diamondback, that's the Luke Cage bad guy, and then there's the Diamondback who is part of the Serpent Society. So really, the Serpent Society had nothing to do with this.
I totally thought it did. And then, even with, Sigourney Weaver being the bad guy playing Viper, I was like, oh, it's Serpent Society and IGH.
We don't know she's playing Viper, but yeah. And even with Steel Serpent in being the bad guy for Iron Fist, so we may be led to believe, because the Steel Serpent symbol it was found in midway through Daredevil season 1, and it was on a piece of paper in Madame Gao's drug factory thing. Uh-huh. So it's like they keep setting up all these snake bad guys,
right?
And doing nothing with them.
Come on.
But yeah, what were we talking about? Performances, the music. What did you think of the music?
Okay, yeah, so the music was another huge highlight. It just goes to show, again, how much of a love letter this whole show was to Harlem, to have these musicians come onto the show and just straight up give performances. Yeah. Really
it was each episode almost not every episode did, but most of the episodes had special musical guests.
Yeah, from Method Man to I can't remember any of their names.
It's on the soundtrack.
The soundtrack is dope.
Yeah,
really cool. For sure.
I've been listening to it. They have some great songs on there.
Yeah, like I wasn't entirely familiar with all of the artists, and like some of them like looked completely different from what I thought their voice was. I was like, whoa! Like the old like James Brown lookalike guy who was doing like if you do me wrong, it just might do you in, which was a really cool song.
Yeah.
Like that threw me off. There were a few others, but it was really interesting to see. Like I'm not like a big music guy. I've never really been to like a major live performance, like concert. Yeah.
Huh.
But those were really, really interesting to see. If they actually played, if I went to Harlem, I would go to that club to check out that music.
Yeah, it was good. One of the composers was one of the members of a tribe called Quest. Ali Shaheed Muhammad was one of the members of that, and they were one of my favorite hip hop groups of the '90s. Electric Relaxation is where it's at, man.
Way over my head.
You've never been to a concert? I think I've never been to a hip hop concert. Actually, I've only been to like rock concerts and everything. But yeah. Seeing these performances were really good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I can appreciate it.
Yeah, a lot of the music in here I think was some of the best hip hop I think I've heard, and I've been listening to the soundtrack album to this quite a few times already. So yeah, that's I think the social relevance of the series, and just like it was a celebration of Black culture, and that's not something that you get to see. It's not something that comes up in not just superhero media, but in most mainstream television media. And I think despite the fact that it was lacking in, say, action and story and everything else, I think as a celebration of African American culture, especially nowadays, and some of the topics that it addressed, socially relevant topics, I think makes it important. It raises it back up a few notches, I think.
It's the most socially relevant piece of superhero media to be released, or like time relevant.
Maybe.
Yeah, ever. Yeah. Especially with like it couldn't be released at like a better time.
Right. Yeah. So like whatever notches it loses as far as that goes, I think it gains at least some of them back just by having the guts to be what it is.
Exactly.
And maybe not necessarily the guts, but the originality. So let's break down by episode, I guess. So we'll go through it really quick. That might take a little bit too long if we go straight down the episodes.
I remember we tried to do that for the Daredevil one, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay, so like episode 1, basically, it was setting up the setting and the characters. There was no real action in that until like the very end. I really like the barbershop feel, though. I never saw the movie Barbershop. Mm-hmm. But it's got to be like a little bit like that, right? I've seen the marketing for the Barbershop movies, directed by Tim Story, who did the Fantastic Four films,
right?
The first ones.
Yeah.
And I really like that vibe. I think it did a great job of setting up the whole vibe that we were gonna get.
Yeah, I guess it didn't last for very long, did it?
Yeah, no, because like Pop died in the second episode, and actually I think that was an important death. I think it really impacted him, and it was the main catalyst for setting up his whole journey that he goes on throughout the course of the series. Not really.
It was. I mean, the catalyst. So like. The beef I have with the show is really like the first few episodes and the last few episodes. Mm-hmm. But like his initial catalyst was Shades. Like it was.
Oh, that's right.
He saw him in the barbershop and he thought he was recognized. But then like later on, like he didn't care if he was recognized. It was weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. He kind of freaked out, and he was at home, and he's like, he's looking at his picture of Reva, and he's like, I'm gonna make a difference or something. Yeah. And then he goes and he stops the thugs that were in. Genghis Khan's, which was a great name. So that, I guess that was a catalyst. But like, as far as his involvement with Cottonmouth and everything like that, the catalyst was Pop's death. Yeah, and the whole but those first 3 episodes went by so slow for me. Like I was wanting more action. I didn't really care about the whole side story with. The 3 guys that had
3 kids who with the botched robbery.
What was his name? I can remember his name. But yeah, like that didn't matter to me. Like once the guy died, once the kid died, and Scarf the dirty detective was revealed, and Pop's death and everything. Once all that stuff started happening, that's when the series started getting interesting for me.
So I have a question: is Scarf? I don't know. When I was watching, I was like, are they a member of the Serpent Society? Are they a member of the Serpent Society? I was like, is Scarf like a
I ruined you.
like a like a Easter egg for like a supervillain who like a boa constrictor or something like that?
No.
Okay, darn.
It's not. He was just
because like the way he killed the kid.
Yeah, he
I was like, this is probably like a boa constrictor villain, snake villain. I don't know.
Yeah, so like Pop died, and that whole kind of like first arc kind of ended at the end of the second episode, and then like in the third one you see him like proactively taking out those cash holdings and everything like that, and one of the main action scenes that was marketed, I think it was in one of the first few trailers, where he's attacking the Crispus Attucks.
Yeah, the
building.
Fort what Cottonmouth called Fort Knox.
Yeah, Fort Knox. That was a cool scene. That was probably the highlight action scene of the entire series.
Yeah, for sure.
And of course they didn't go with the "Baby I Like It Raw" song. They went with another Wu-Tang song. It was like
Wu-Tang
bring
song.
the motherfucking ruckus, bring the motherfucking. It was pretty good. I like that song. I'll watch that scene over and over again. I haven't yet, but I should. I want to go see it again because I just really liked it so much when they did it.
Yeah.
It wasn't cut quite as tight as the teaser was. I feel like the teaser had a little bit more energy, but overall, I think it was the highlight action scene of the show.
Yeah, they were right to market it.
And if you were to compare it though to some of the other action scenes and the other ones,
the hallway battles,
it doesn't quite hold up quite as much.
No,
but
the Daredevil season 2 one is still like the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Those are just amazing. Yeah. But still good in this series. I would have liked a whole lot more of that. Like I would have liked at least 3 other action scenes that were on par with that Crispus Attucks.
Yeah, that would have been cool. So the first few episodes, I thought, like, again, I didn't understand Luke Cage's like initial motivation being shades. I thought that was really weird, and then like even the editing was kind of like sloppy, especially like during the shootout scene when he's shooting out Pop's shop.
Yeah,
like they cut to this angle where like you see the first chair that Luke Cage is supposed to be protecting the kid on, and it's completely empty. And I'm like, continuity.
I didn't notice
continuity.
That. Interesting.
It just like it really didn't work for me those first few episodes.
Yeah,
especially until Crispus Attucks probably.
Yeah, especially because it's hard to see a reluctant hero. I think like you watch Daredevil, he's definitely not reluctant. He's very proactive. Jessica Jones, very proactive on her cases and everything like that. Yeah. And now you see Luke Cage, who's just content, not being a superhero. So and that was a little frustrating. But once he's at Genghis Khan's and he's paying, his landlord and everything, and all of a sudden Cottonmouth shows up with the bazooka.
That was crazy. That was for sure.
I was like,
crazy.
Oh man, okay, this series all of a sudden got good.
Yeah. And that's. I mean, that wasn't the first few episodes though.
That was the third episode.
Really?
At the end of the third episode, that's when it was blown up, because the fourth episode was the origin.
Okay.
And that's when they were underneath all the rubble, and it was all in flashback.
Yeah.
I thought that was really well done.
That was what was I gonna say? Go back to the Crispus Attucks thing.
Mm-hmm.
Even like the initial setup for that, I thought was not well done because like they showed like a flash forward to like the moment right before when the kid holds the gun to his head. I was just horribly confused by that whole thing. Like, and they were going back and forth. They jumped
forward and then went back and then showed the scene again.
Yeah, they were like there was a lot of prep work. Or like a lot of like build up to the Crispus Attucks scene in the first few episodes.
The payoff wasn't quite 100%.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It was confusing, and then the payoff was like, oh, I've seen all the good parts already.
Yeah, in the marketing.
Yeah,
I'll agree with that. I think the next episode was handled better. I really liked the Seagate prison origin story.
That was very interesting.
I like.
I still don't know how he was set up though. Because I know that Diamondback set him up, but like for what? For like murder? Was he accused of drugs? Was he accused of just
No, they mentioned just briefly he was set up for murder by Diamondback, if I remember that correctly.
Okay.
So I remember way back at the earlier part of the 2000s decade, John Singleton was attached to direct a Luke Cage movie.
Quentin Tarantino has been attached to a Luke Cage film.
And John Singleton being the guy who directed Boys in the Hood, and he had mentioned, one of the things that he's most looking forward to film was Luke Cage breaking out of Seagate prison with his bare hands. and I think this was like Tyrese was attached to star. I think there were some musings. It never quite got off the ground. But so we finally got to see that scene, Luke Cage breaking out a Seagate prison with his bare hands. And I have to say, it was awesome. It was really cool.
It was cool.
The whole, punching out, the whole, like, the alarm going off and, like, he knows that they're coming from, and him discovering his powers and, like, how he got his powers by that the racist police officer.
Yeah.
Or warden, rather. Or whatever you call him, guard. I thought that was really well handled. I thought it was a great episode.
Yeah.
Good drama. I like the little callback to his original look with the yellow blouse and the tiara.
Look like a damn fool. That was cool.
Yeah. And then he meets up with Reva.
What was the scientist guy like a comics character? Is there an Easter egg there?
He is a comics character. He's
he's
the guy who experimented on the prisoners at Seagate.
Okay.
His name was Burstein.
Okay.
But yeah, that's all.
The whole time I was watching, I was like, I bet this is an Easter egg.
Not an Easter egg so much as just, taken from the comics.
Well, I mean, I consider that an Easter egg.
Do you consider Luke Cage himself an Easter egg?
Yes. No. Yes, I do. I don't know. It was just like something hidden in there that like I wasn't familiar with. I would consider like Patsy Walker. Mm-hmm. I guess she's not an Easter egg.
She's not an Easter egg.
You're right. I don't know what I'm talking about. No. But it was just like I was really excited when he told me that. So I wanted to be like I'm hoping like a few more of those are come through
the
here.
guard like who he like sabotaged the experiment as it was being done to Luke Cage to kind of heal his body. That was from the comics. Like
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, it was
the
the guard
last
that
episode
sabotaged
Luke Cage's origin.
Yeah.
So it was like straight from the comics, which is cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I thought it was cool how he got his name. And he kind of like reveals his true identity. I'm not sure what his motivation was again at the end of that episode where he says, my name is Luke Cage. I think it was maybe drawing himself as a target or like letting Cottonmouth know who he was going up against or something.
Yeah.
Maybe he was just, done hiding. But so like the next few episodes, like we see like that's when Cottonmouth starts to crack down on Harlem and, start like extorting money out of the citizens. And that's when you really start seeing, once he's out in the limelight, you start seeing Luke Cage start connecting with the people of Harlem all around. And, that was kind of a boring episode for me. I could see why it was necessary because up until that point, most of his interaction with Harlem was at the club and at the barbershop. So to actually get out and...
But like it was good build up for the funeral.
Right. Yeah. Because people were aware of him and everything, and
because I mean when you listen to Cottonmouth, you're like he's he's for the people, and then when you listen to Luke Cage's, you're like
he was better.
He was way better.
Yeah. So in the next episode, that's when that whole episode was pretty much Scarf getting shot, Misty finding out that her partner was dirty, and Luke Cage, and that's when Claire Temple enters the story, and they try to protect him. And that episode had a lot of good action in it. I like the part where they're hiding out on the run from those mercenary guys, and he's busting through walls, and he's stopping cars with his body and everything.
Yeah, that was really cool. He busted through the van and through the building. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that's the stuff that I like to see. Like, I want more episodes like that, and like the third one and everything. It's the next episode that kind of changes everything.
Yeah.
It was a surprising episode. It's the one where Cottonmouth dies, and all of a sudden Diamondback enters out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I did like the episode though, but in that it showed a lot of flashbacks on Cottonmouth's character. And
yeah, those were interesting.
It kind of showed like
it reminded me of like the Wilson Fisk like flashback.
Yeah.
Things that they did, which were really powerful.
Yeah.
And these ones were like almost as powerful.
Yeah. It was different in that Cottonmouth was more of a tragic character. Like you kind of see that he was never really made for this type of gangster lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that he always just wanted to be a musician.
What is it with like the Netflix Marvel villains and like Patricide?
I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah.
They all have daddy issues.
Kingpin killed his dad. Kilgrave killed his parents, and now Cottonmouth killed his uncle, who was like a father figure to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was interesting though, like how much like Daredevil was very much like a legal drama, crime drama. Jessica Jones was like a thriller, mystery,
detective story.
Kind of dealt with issues of
neo noir.
Like neo noir, but I was going to talk about like issues of like
feminism, feminist issues.
Yeah, feminist issues, like And this one, touched on issues of racism and black empowerment and everything like that. But it was very much in the genre of like a mob crime kind of gangster kind of genre. And Cottonmouth was really the one character that really put out that genre vibe
until he died.
And then it was less of a gangster movie and more of a I don't know what.
Exactly.
So let's talk about Diamondback. So the first time we see him, I was really surprised. He comes literally out of nowhere, shoots Luke Cage in the stomach. I didn't even know Luke Cage could get shot. I didn't know that it was the same Judas bullet that Shades was referring to in a few episodes earlier. The same guns that Cottonmouth was gonna buy from Diamondback. So I was really confused for a second there. Like, that was a good cliffhanger. I had to watch the next episode almost immediately.
Yeah.
And my initial reaction on Diamondback was like, wow, like, this guy's badass. He's a physical threat. This series is, really amping up the action with this episode. And really
he was almost
take off.
Yeah, he was almost like a horror type character, because like you couldn't outrun him. He was just like lurking outside the window.
Yeah, forced to be reckoned with and everything. And then he kind of turned into something else, I guess. Once he opened his mouth, I think
he was very smiley. I don't know the actor. I'm not familiar with him, but I get the sense that he's like a theater actor, and that he. I think you kind of nailed it when you said that, like, he wasn't told to treat the character seriously, and I think he was like having fun with it, or it just wasn't. It wasn't. Didn't fit the tone of the series. He was too smiley. Stop smiling.
That whole episode 8 was basically that. Like, you were like almost like a. Diamondback was a horror figure. Like, that whole episode they were spent like just kind of fleeing from Diamondback, and Claire was trying to heal Luke Cage.
Well, how cool was that when she was like had the tool, like, was prodding his wound, and like you just hear the scraping. I was like, oh, what a great sound design right there.
Yeah, that was really great sound design. Like, you kind of hear how tough his skin is.
It's like concrete.
Concrete. Yeah, exactly. Concrete. That's a good one. I just kept thinking through that whole episode, like, man, Tony Stark needs to come in and like give Luke Cage an arc reactor or something, so that he can like have that magnet. Because like Tony Stark had the same problem with the shrapnel in his chest.
Yeah. Moving
So,
deeper. Shrapnel's interesting.
Yeah. I remember when I first saw him, and the end of that episode too was really good, where they fought in the theater and everything.
That's when I start to get bad vibes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because he talked a lot during that. But like, it was interesting because you were learning a little bit more about the character's backstory and everything. And
I guess.
And
the fact that you realized right away that like he had familiarity with Luke Cage, I started to get bad vibes, because I was like, why is that necessary? They're like trying to make this new villain relevant by tying him into Luke Cage's past.
Yeah, but there was no foreshadowing as far as
No, but in the theater there was. In the theater, he was talking about how he knew.
No, I mean, prior to Diamondback's appearance, there was no foreshadowing. Like,
yeah,
like Willis Stryker was never mentioned prior to that. Like, like it would have been neat if like Luke Cage had mentioned like him as a friend or something.
Exactly.
Like that, and then he shows up. Yeah,
that's very true. Like, oh yeah, when I was younger, I had this friend, and blah blah blah. Just to, it would give it more context later on.
Yeah. So they're on the run. He ends up shooting him. He falls into so he gets 2 shots, and he falls into the trash truck.
Which again, a good villain would not let that happen. He would be like, okay, bye, trash truck. He would have gone after and made sure that the job was finished.
Yeah. Well, like later on he says, find where that truck went or something like that. But like he couldn't pursue it on foot when he's been pursuing Luke Cage this entire time.
Right.
So anyway, a trash truck doesn't move that fast.
Exactly. They have to stop to collect the trash.
But so then you have like the dashboard footage, and that kind of played into the whole the whole topical issue of police and African American relations and everything like that.
That brought that to the forefront.
Yeah.
The way the police were taking on anyone with hoodies and stuff like that. And well, Method Man, his guest appearance aided that.
Yeah, that's actually later on. But yeah. So now they're going to Georgia because
that's
Claire,
right.
At the end of Jessica Jones, so Kilgrave, he made Reva dig up the files that she had, and I'm still not quite certain on who Reva is, but she had data on Kilgrave's parents, and a whole bunch of other experimental
super soldier kind of program things. Yeah. I wonder if she worked for IGH.
She might have worked for IGH,
and that might be the tying thread.
Yeah. That's entirely possible. But it was cool to see that drive that I actually had completely forgotten about pop back up.
Well, see, and that's the thing, because in Jessica Jones, it was a red flash drive. And
was it?
Yeah, in this series, it was like silver. Which, so super annoying.
Was it?
Yeah.
See, I didn't even remember what it looked like in Jessica Jones. I remember the flash drive in Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
And I remember that's like Kilgrave wanted it to, find his parents.
Right. But I guess I just saw it recently, so.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't realize that was the same flash drive. I didn't realize it was Reva's flash drive. Yeah. Until they said it explicitly was.
Yeah. So they go down to Georgia to talk to Burstein, and I thought that whole scene was pretty cool and crazy about how we're gonna basically deep fry you.
It was disappointing.
You think it was disappointing?
So the lead up to it was great about how we're gonna deep fry you, your skin's gonna peel off and stuff like that. But in the end, it didn't look like anything special.
I think up until the end of that episode, it was fantastic. Like they were dipping him in, and with the good sound design, and it looked like it was searing him and everything like that. And then he goes into cardiac arrest, and you're like, what the hell's going on? That was another episode where I was like, gotta watch the next one right now.
Yeah.
And then you're right. It was like a bunch of kind of mumbo jumbo science words, and then Claire electrocuted him, and then all of a sudden it worked. They were able to recreate it without really knowing how again.
Right.
But it got the job done, I guess.
Well, from my understanding is that they weren't trying to recreate the experiment. They sort of were. They were planning on essentially just dipping his skin in acid, getting the acid to remove his skin, and then they would remove.
It wasn't removing the skin; it was making it soft.
Well, they essentially said that. He said the acid was gonna remove layers of his skin off.
I guess, yeah.
But you didn't see that. I don't know. It didn't look as cool as I thought it was going to. I'm like,
did you expect him to shed his skin or something?
Yeah, I thought there was gonna be some cool special effect where you see his muscle, his muscular system, and then he regrows his skin or something like that.
That'd be crazy.
It might have been.
All I know is that it must suck to be an injured Luke Cage. A guy who rarely gets injured, because when he does, like in Jessica Jones, you got to go through the eyeball. Or you got to freaking, acid off his skin or something like that. It just, you don't want to be Luke Cage and have to go to the hospital because it's impossible to help. So, episode 10, kind of learn who Reva was. I'm still not quite sure. Apparently she was a bitch.
Apparently,
I don't know.
Seriously.
Yeah, I don't know. Apparently she was using him the whole time.
Yeah, they did a great setup of the character in the flashback sequences earlier in the season. And you fell in love with her character too, just along with Luke Cage. But I definitely felt I was like, oh, you bitch, when I learned that she betrayed him.
Yeah. So yeah, then I guess him and Claire start developing feelings for each other.
Yeah, I love the coffee reference.
Those coffee references throughout the whole show.
You want to get some coffee?
And
she just looks at him.
I'm not going to sleep with you. He's like, what are you talking about? She's like, you don't drink coffee. He's like, come on. That was pretty good.
Want to get some coffee?
Yeah. So we kind of jump in between Georgia and Harlem at this point, and Diamondback kind of sets up his big plan, which is arms deals, I guess. And how
does he really care about anything other than taking out Luke Cage? Because it seems especially towards the end, he forgets all of that stuff.
I think his main priority always was Luke Cage, everywhere from the framing. And I like the line when they were fighting in the theater where he was like, I framed you, you went to jail, and what happened? You got superpowers.
Ain't that a bitch?
Ain't that a bitch, yeah. He did have some, as corny as he was, he had some lines that made me laugh, like, ain't that a bitch? And when he was like, bye, Felicia. It was corny as hell.
No, it was just corny.
But
it wasn't.
Not even slightly endearing? No.
I didn't think no.
Yeah. So he has, or I guess Justin Hammer, even though he's in jail, the company's still running, and somehow they got access to Chitauri tech, and somehow Diamondback has access to the Hammer tech.
Yeah.
So they never quite explain.
That's another thing that was disappointing to me, in the fact that like the main villain wasn't his own Justin Hammer. Like he was just like a petty arms guy for Hammer tech. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
I think it was cool that there was the tie-in to Iron Man and everything, and like, you know, someone as shady as Justin Hammer is, you know, like getting these weapons out on the streets and everything. Like
early on, like in the first few episodes, they were saying like this is, or I think it was the first episode, he was like some Justin Hammer type level shit.
Yeah,
it's like that's all you need to say for me to understand how powerful these weapons are.
Right.
He could have still been like the mastermind behind the weaponry.
Right. Right.
But he wasn't.
Yeah, I wonder who's running Hammer Tech now that Justin Hammer's in Seagate, actually. They never...
The Tinkerer.
It would have been cool if they would have showed Justin Hammer in Seagate, because him and the Mandarin, Trevor Slattery, they were both in Seagate, and they were in that one shot, All Hail the King, where you find out that the Mandarin, whatever, it was a retcon, find out that Mandarin is still real.
They named Seagate as the prison?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But it would have been cool to see, Justin Hammer there or something. I don't know how long Luke Cage has been a fugitive from prison. But.
Okay, there was one thing I forgot to mention, like in to go all the way back to the very first episode. Mm-hmm. I did not realize in Jessica Jones that he was a fugitive. So when they set that up in the first episode, mm-hmm. I thought that was really interesting because I know he was like he wanted to lay low mm-hmm. in Jessica Jones, but I never learned. Yeah. I didn't get the sense that he was a fugitive.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Yeah. So for them to establish that in the first episode, like,
come on, that's common knowledge, man.
That set the stakes. How's that common knowledge?
Luke Cage he escaped from Seagate prison, and we're like seeing him kind of early in his superhero career, like a
I just don't assume every black man is a fugitive.
I didn't say that. Well, I'm saying Luke Cage. You should know the character enough. You're such a DC guy. But yeah, that's why he was, and that's why the bar was set up in Reva's name in Jessica Jones and everything like that.
Right? So yeah, there was no ties to him. I got that in like hindsight.
Yeah. So, I think so. Yeah, that episode, Luke Cage and Claire come back to Harlem, and Mariah Dillard is kind of setting the whole thing to try to use the police brutality on that child who was defending Luke Cage as a means to. I don't know how she kind of switched it up, but she managed to convince the police. She managed to twist it so that she could sell the arms to the police or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they come back to Harlem's Paradise, and then the whole next episode was the whole hostage situation, which I thought it was a good episode. I thought that one had some good action in it, and they're hiding out, and he was bopping heads.
The hostage episode was great.
Yeah, Misty got shot in the arm, and I thought actually they were going to amputate. I was
They should have.
Why didn't they amputate?
Why didn't they do that? In the comics, she loses her arm. Yeah. She gets a robotic
which means she's going to have like another situation
where they have to,
shoot her in the arm or something.
And it's like coincidence.
Yeah.
Why not just do it now?
Yeah, they should have amputated.
Jerks.
But that was pretty good.
They had it perfectly set up.
Shades was right though. Like Diamondback was acting super irrational at that point. And he kind of got off. He kind of got lucky the way he got away, with all the police and media there and everything like that. So, but
Shades was a recurring problem for me throughout the whole season.
He was one of my favorite characters.
Okay.
He was the most logical character. He should have been in charge.
One of the things that ruined, like at the end, that like made me like disappointed with the show is that we never saw a fight between Luke Cage and Shades, because Shades sort of became, for me, like, since we lost our primary antagonist, and I didn't really feel like Mariah wanted that role or really fulfilled that role. That Shades was, and it seemed like Shades was manipulating her anyway. He was talking smack to Diamondback. He kind of, for me, became like the main bad guy in a way. Mm-hmm. But we never saw him like
get his comeuppance.
Well, there was no like end game battle between Shades and Luke Cage, which I felt kind of like cheated.
There was like the parlay kind of thing towards the end. But before we get to there.
Okay.
I Shades, I think, was one of the better bad guys of this. He was the overarching, like from the beginning to end. He was
Is he
a bad guy.
A supervillain?
Yes, he is.
What are his powers?
He's a gangster, and at some point he gets glasses that can shoot beams, power beams.
Really?
Yeah.
And his name is Shades?
His name is Shades.
Marvel's so dumb.
Hey, he was created in the 70s, so what do you want?
Yeah. Cyclops.
Yeah. So after, Diamondback escapes from Harlem's Paradise and everything's taken care of there, and Luke Cage, escapes from custody and, goes on the run and looks for Diamondback to kind of end this whole thing. That was a great episode. I really liked episode 12. Yeah. It was kind of him reconnecting back with Harlem. That's when he meets Method Man.
Yeah.
And I thought that part was powerful when, Method Man was just talking about, we don't believe what people are saying about you. We have your back. And, people start selling, the bulletproof hoodies. People start wearing them, and, I thought that was pretty
not
good.
Bulletproof hoodies,
not bulletproof hoodies.
Bullet-ridden.
Bullet-ridden hoodies. Bullet-holed.
Yeah.
Hoodies full of bullet holes. I thought that was cool.
Okay, so, because, before he was arrested and stuff, even, before that, Claire kept saying how she knew this really good lawyer and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they even made direct reference to him where he was like, that cat beating people up in Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really thinking that, they were, just to, do some, world building and stuff, that they were going to have Daredevil rescue him from the truck. I don't know why I thought that, but when it...
See, my impression was that he was going to show up in the lawyer capacity as his defense attorney, and I think they might be saving that for Defenders.
But why? Don't.
Well, let's not get there quite yet.
Okay, all right.
One of my notes that I had up for episode 12 was Turk Stiltman. He was in both seasons of Daredevil as the arms dealer.
The guy who always gets his hand smashed.
Yeah, the guy who always gets his ass kicked by Daredevil.
I thought it was the same guy.
Yeah. It was cool to see him.
He's the Stilt guy?
Yeah, he's Stiltman.
No way.
Comics. Yeah, I don't know if he'll ever turn into Stiltman in the Netflix shows, but
that would be really silly.
It was just cool how in all these shows he's this guy who has a rough exterior and everything, and he is kind of a badass, but he always really gets his ass kicked and gives into pressure, and it kind of becomes this informant.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was cool to see Stiltman in this show as well. Turk, I guess. At the end of this episode, that's when we see Diamondback in his full Chitauri Hammer Tech outfit for the first time.
Yeah.
It was as cheesy as the set photos showed.
For sure. And
I was hoping it wouldn't be.
His dialogue was just as cheesy, too. It was just...
Yeah. And, okay, so this takes us to the last episode. That last fight, I thought it was pretty good.
Wait, you thought it was pretty good? Because I thought it was pretty freaking terrible.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they were exchanging
the secret
blows.
is to not punch back.
No, okay, so the way it ended, yeah, it was kind of weird. But I thought the actual action itself of them hitting each other and flying into cars and things like that, I thought that was pretty well done. It was at least some of the best action in the whole series, which again is not saying much. But
I didn't like it. I
enjoyed it
than the God mode moments.
No. Do you know how he defeated Diamondback? Because that's a question that I have.
So he realized that when he was throwing punches back against Diamondback,
it was powering
his suit. So
see, I didn't get that until he explained it later.
I got that.
You did?
Yeah.
I didn't get the visual cues, I guess.
I did, yeah.
You did? Okay. I'll have to watch that fight again. So when he was fighting back, it was making him stronger.
Yeah.
And then when he stopped fighting, he just let him use up his battery or something.
That's
like
why
that?
Diamondback was trying to egg him on,
So verbally. Does the suit have some kind of cushion or something that is receptive to kinetic
apparently
blasts that
you wouldn't
powers
be able to
the battery?
See it, but evidently, yeah.
Because bullets were bouncing off of him and everything like that, so he had some kind of padding, and somehow the kinetic force against the padding is what powers the battery, or something.
Yeah.
We'll just go with that, yeah?
Sure.
So, yeah, I guess it just took one good punch, and I guess he broke his neck and everything. So that was a little anticlimactic.
Yeah, it definitely was.
and then he goes into custody, and you find out that Claire's informant, the cocktail waitress that worked at the bar, was killed by shades and everything like that. The whole ending was depressing.
It was very yeah.
Almost nobody got their comeuppance. Like even Diamondback, like almost all the bad guys ended up almost in better positions than what they started.
Absolutely.
Like and we know Diamondback
at the end in the hospital with that scientist guy.
He's gonna get superpowers, I guess, or something.
And that's a huge ass coincidence. How did that happen?
Well, the doctor was able to. He must have been following the story when he came back because it was all over the media, the fight. So he must have known, and he must have figured that guy. Willis Stryker is going to be a good, guy to experiment on.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah. Don't you think Jessica Jones would, if it was, since it was all over the media, Jessica Jones would have come to help him?
Maybe. Probably. Most likely. Definitely.
Well, damn it.
And, Daredevil probably would have been there too, but...
Maybe.
But, yeah, I'm sure they're just saving it. Yeah, like even like Shades ended up in a better situation. I assume he's running the underworld now. What he did was he needs his comeuppance, especially the way he killed what's her face, the cocktail waitress.
Yeah.
And Mariah Dillard, like she's like finally turning into Black Mariah, the character in the comics, and I guess is going to be
Who's that?
I guess she's going to roll with Shades. She's a Luke Cage bad guy.
Because I remember. Cottonmouth called her Black Mariah, and she got all pissed off.
Yeah. So I guess they're gonna rule the underworld now, and like Misty was like keeping tabs on him. I guess she quit the force just like she did in the comics and becomes her own detective and everything. But yeah, like nothing ended right for Luke Cage. It was like, what was the point of this whole season? Everybody should be in jail and he should be on top, But no, he's going back to jail. I almost wish that they would have saved. I would almost wish they would have like shown the whole going back to Georgia for jail thing as the 13th episode,
and then have like Matt Murdock step in the door and then end on that.
And end on that. That would have been cool because it would have been like, oh, they're ending it with that link and everything. That would have been super powerful.
It was weird because like they were promising like all this like sexual innuendo that was about to happen and stuff like that. And you're like, things are finally looking up Millhouse, and then it ends like that.
Yeah. But at least Bobby Fish was able to find the files that prove that Carl Lucas was innocent and everything. So we know he'll get off. I just wish I would have seen that. I wish it wouldn't have ended on such a weird anticlimactic.
There were a lot of unanswered questions.
Cliffhanger of an ending.
Cliffhangers. I was almost expecting like another episode after that. For the longest time when they were like deciding like, oh, what are we going to do with Pop's shop now? I was like, oh, they're setting it up to become a clinic for Claire.
Uh-huh.
And they didn't do that. They didn't answer that question.
I thought they were going to set up shop for like Heroes for Hire type business or something.
Well, he kept saying he didn't want to, work for money.
Yeah, they kind of ignored that whole Heroes for Hire thing.
Yeah,
like people kept offering them like, we'll pay you or like you should be
and it makes
charging.
Sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, you don't want to see your protagonist like, charging.
Yeah, to help people.
Yeah.
That made sense to me. I thought that was like a nice just kind of like call out. They're like, hey, we know this happens in the comics, but we're not going to touch here.
That. Yeah. Like maybe Missy will do that, like do a Heroes for Hire thing. Maybe. But I don't see like Luke Cage like saying, "I just saved your life, pay me."
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So, I think that takes us to the end of the episode.
It does.
Or the end of the season.
Last episode of the last season.
Yeah. I think we pretty much touched on everything. Again, I think we harped a lot on it. Like there was a lot of not great stuff in here, but again, when you watch it, I think you have a better feeling about it. At least I think I did. And it's only in hindsight that you start questioning everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I was questioning everything.
Were you?
I still want to know all the Easter eggs. Like, what was the name of the Puerto Rican crime boss?
Domingo.
Domingo. Is he from the comics? Because he was a pretty good character. Like when he was like dropping the Snickers wrappers on the floor
that was funny.
in Cottonmouth's club, I thought that was great. Yeah. Harlem's Paradise, that was the name of it. I was cracking up.
That scene where he broke in to steal the guns and give them to Misty, when Luke Cage broke into the boxing arena and everything, I thought that was a pretty good scene.
That was cool.
I really can never get enough of Luke Cage, getting shot and walking right up to the guy and then just like, thumping him on the head. Like, I think maybe one of the best scenes was the convenience store scene with Method Man when he was like, they're like, oh man, it's you. Like, I'm sorry, man. And he was like, can I see your phone? And he like tries to hand him the gun and he's like, your phone. So they give him the phone and then like as he's talking, he like thumps him and he falls down and he like bends his gun and everything. That was just fantastic. I wanted to see more scenes like that.
Yeah.
That was a perfect scene. So it had good moments, a lot of bad moments. Definitely not as good as the other shows,
but still not a bad show.
Still not a bad show.
If you had to rate it 5 stars or on a 5-star scale, what would you give it?
I'm gonna rate. So Daredevil and Jessica Jones, I rated 4.5 stars. I thought they were
Daredevil season 1 and 2.
Daredevil season 1 and 2 both got 4.5 stars for me. There were parts for reasons like. So I do think Daredevil season 1 was stronger as an overall narrative. Like it had that it felt like a 13-hour movie. But I like the introduction to the Punisher, and I like the action. And where season 1 may have fell midway through, I think season 2 of Daredevil didn't drop off as much. So I think they're about even overall. So I give them 4.5 stars. Jessica Jones was fantastic. I also gave that one 4.5 stars.
Do we have review badges for those?
Yes. Oh, not Jessica Jones. I'll make one.
Okay.
So this one obviously falls short than those two from what we've been saying. I give this one 3.5 stars out of 5. It's not horrible. It had a lot of missteps though.
Yeah.
But mostly good, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think this
better than average.
I think this would get a solid 3 for me, but just because I think of the timing of it, and I know that like if I'd ever been to Harlem, I'm sure it would have been a lot more impactful. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people live there, so I agree with the 3.5.
Are you looking forward to a second season of Luke Cage?
I'm looking forward to the Defenders. I'm not looking forward to another season of Luke Cage.
No. I think I almost feel the same way. Like, I'm interested where it could go. Like, what I want to see in the next season of Luke Cage is, you've already set up Harlem. Like, don't take so much time setting up the scene and get more into the story.
Yeah.
Have a more cohesive story that, with an arc that goes through the whole season. And have him kick more ass. Have more action.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I don't think they should do another season of Luke Cage. I think I want to see him and Iron Fist do Heroes for Hire after Defenders.
Oh, that would be cool.
Him.
I guess you would have to go that route because, Danny Rand and Luke Cage are great friends.
I think they would work better together than separately. That's just, I don't know. Speculation. I have nothing to base that on. Mm-hmm, but
okay.
I'm not sure what more you could do with Luke Cage, honestly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, there's a lot more, but I hope we see that in Defenders. So.
Yeah.
All right then. Okay. That does it for our review.
I also want to see his relationship with Jessica Jones develop more.
Yeah, I want to see him knock her up, and then they have a super baby.
You want to see that?
Oh, we already kind of saw that. So.
Yeah.
So that does it for the review for Luke Cage. We give it 3.5 stars out of 5.
Yeah.
So, we'll put up our review badge on Instagram. So if you don't follow us on Instagram, go ahead and follow us. Just do a search for DC Marvel Battlecast.
Yeah. And let us know what you thought of Luke Cage. Do you think our rating is fair? Do you think it's, we're jerks?
Yeah, did you think it was the best show of all time? If so, why?
Yeah. Let us know.
Yeah. You can reach out to us at DC Marvel, at DC Marvel Battle on Twitter, or you can email us dcmarvelbattlecast@gmail.com via email.
Right.
So
you can leave us comments on SoundCloud.
Oh yeah.
Or rate us.
Or on YouTube. You can leave us comments on YouTube.
On YouTube as
well.
There you go. Yeah. There you
go. So the next episode, it'll be a Battlecast episode. It'll be the Halloween Battlecast.
The Halloween one. We haven't received any recommendations for that, so send them in.
So if you have any recommendations for a Marvel vs. DC matchup that you'd like to see that's Halloween themed, go ahead and let us know, and we'll go ahead and consider all the options.
Cool.
And so look forward to doing that, and until next time,
Up and away.
True believers.